Taking your baby's clothes that maybe they've outgrown or stained and turning it into a quilt is a fun project that I've always wanted to try, and I would love to sit here and teach you how to do it. I'm Patty Duffner. Please join me for a two-part session on rickrack. We're going to have a two-part session on this. The first part is the front of the blanket, and the second part is going to be the back and finishing up the quilt. So the front part is a little bit more complicated, but definitely worth your time. What you want to do first is pick out all the garments that you plan on using. I tried to color coordinate them, so maybe did some greens and blues together on one, and then on another one I did some blues and reds together. Just put together the colors that kind of coordinated together. What you want to do is take your garment, put it inside out, and you're going to just cut it right open. So you're going to cut up the side seams and right up the center. Basically, what you're doing is you're making two pieces out of the one piece. The one garment you want to get at least two squares or rectangles out of. Just cut right down. Don't worry about being too precise. Imagine how fun this would be for maybe a recent graduate from college. You can take their old college shirts and cut them up and turn it into a blanket or a pillow. I first started doing this, my first project of turning clothes into something was years ago when my brother passed away. I took all his shirts and made them into pillows for all of our siblings. And my son uses that pillow every night, and I left the pocket on the front, and he sticks his tooth in there when he needs a tooth fairy visit or little notes or whatever he has. So after cutting it, we're going to iron this out. This is a typical 100% cotton onesie, so it's perfect for children because it's real stretchy and it moves when they move, but it's not perfect for us when we're trying to sew it. Trying to sew things that stretch is not fun, and it's definitely not my favorite thing to do. So the trick to this and sewing anything that's stretchy is a interfacing. It's a fusible interfacing. This is different than the last show that we did when we did the applique technique with the fusible webbing. That's different. That's more of an adhesive. This is a fusible interfacing where it will turn stretchy fabric into not stretchy fabric. You can feel the difference. This side has like a felt feel, and this side has little bumps on it. You want to put it bumpy side down and press the iron on there. This works pretty quickly. You could almost just see it melting onto your fabric, so you don't want to burn it. Really just press it on there good. You're going to be amazed how easy this is, especially if you've tried sewing on stretchy fabric before and thought, forget it, I'm never going to try that again. This just makes it so nice and easy. I have pre-cut all my interfacing to 8 by 10 squares because I know I'm going to need 15 rectangles to get this project made. So I try to do things ahead of time so that it's just like an assembly line for me to get this stuff done. Pre-cut your interfacing to 8 by 10. Press them on your garments after you have them all cut open like this. And I've got that's the front, so here's the back. I'm going to do that. Same thing. Bumpy side down, and you'll figure that out real quick because if you have it the wrong way, it melts right onto your iron. Another fun idea when doing this is maybe you could center some of the embroidery or different things that are on the baby's outfits already. Like I did with the Winnie the Pooh little stations, or some of the buttons are fun to just keep on there but cut around it. From here, we're going to take it over to our cutting table. And I chose a rectangle shape because I just feel like it was a little bit more modern. I didn't want it to be too country with the the perfect squares, so I kind of like the idea of going for a rectangle. The size that I chose to make these rectangles is a 6.5 wide by 9-inch long. So your 8 by 10 fusible webbing, you have room to play. Now this obviously isn't square, this garment, so I'm just going to lay it flat and eyeball it. But I know that my mat is square with these perfect lines, and I know that my ruler is square with these perfect lines. So I'm going to line the two up together. Press really hard on it. Now, some of you might be sentimental over these clothes and hate to cut them up, but you know, let me tell you, my 7-year-old, when he saw his baby clothes from pictures turned into a blanket, he just loved it, and he thought, oh, I could just sleep with this now. So it's really cute, and as your kids get older, I really do think that they'll appreciate it. I'm gonna flip this around so I can cut the other side. I'm right-handed, so I try to keep it easiest for me. Now we did 9 inches this way. So again, you're going to line it up. I just count on the grid sometime 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And now you have your finished rectangle that's not stretchy. You've got your fabric on this side. We're ready to place them together. We're going to sew 5 of these rectangles top to bottom, the right sides together, 1/4 inch seam. Now don't be intimidated about sewing over this interfacing. It doesn't make it any harder at all. It's just helping us stabilize the fabric. So what we have here is one of the 3 panels of clothing that's going to make up the front of this quilt. Usually what you call it is the top of the quilt. As you can see, this pattern that I've designed for this project calls for 3 stripes of the children's clothing. After you get these clothing panels all sewn together, 3 stripes of 5, you'll want to attach the 3-inch sashing fabric. I used a soft flannel here. It kind of emulates the soft flannel of the clothes. After you have all 3 of your clothing panels put together, you want to come to your cutting area, cut 3 inches of the sashing. I used a soft flannel. This sashing will go in between each clothing panel, kind of framing it in there. It also stabilizes it for you. Let your eye kind of rest, as well as stabilizes it so that it's a really nice square quilt. So here's one, 3 inches on either side of the flannel. So the next step is to take this one and attach it right there. You'll do the same thing, right sides together. Simply stitch down a 1/4 inch, flip it over, add another 3-inch sashing, and continue until you're all done with the top. So it will look something like this. So that's how we put the top together. And I hope you join me for the next session of Rick Rack, where I'm going to show you how we are going to complete it with the batting as well as the backing. You can make this memory quilt for your little one just as easy and simply as I did. Thank you for joining me. I'm Patty Duffner on Rick Rack.